At supper, my mother declared, "Italy's reserved for those who pull their weight." My sister gave a sly grin, "Be grateful we even let you know." I responded, "Thanks for the candor." Then I went back to my place, disabled the payment system, and severed every connected device. At 5:17 a.m., my brother sent a message. "We're stuck at the airport. Contact the airline." I didn't reply. Later, I got the first call from them. I'd never felt fury like that before. Not when my sister wrecked my car and chuckled about it. Not when my mom took out a credit card in my name at 19. Not even when my dad told me to toughen up after I lost my job during the pandemic. But that dinner, that calculated, smug dinner, it was the moment something broke inside me. Not explosively, not instantly, but with a quiet, chilling clarity that made everything fall into place. They'd chosen their usual haunt, Rossi's, a place they adored not for the cuisine but for the vibe. Crisp linens, fancy olive oil, and dishes no one could pronounce right. I arrived promptly, as always. I even dressed nicely, hoping foolishly that this might just be a pleasant family night, a moment of unity. I was so naively optimistic. They were all there already. My mom pecked my cheek, ignoring the fact she'd dodged my calls the previous week. My sister barely glanced up from her screen. My brother gave a curt nod like we were colleagues, not kin. My dad offered that stiff, fake smile he uses when he's about to say something cruel but hasn't picked the moment. Dinner began normally enough. Bread, wine. My mom griped about airport hassles, though her flight wasn't for another day. I laughed at some silly comment my brother made about his gym coach, and for a fleeting moment it felt like family. Then the air changed. You could sense it, even if you didn't know what was coming. My mom waited until the main course arrived. I'd just taken a bite when she set her fork down, looked at my sister and said, "Italy's reserved for those who pull their weight." Silence, no one moved at first. Then my sister's grin widened, not even trying to hide it. My brother stared at his phone, but his jaw tightened. My dad wiped his mouth casually, like it was just another evening. "Be grateful we even let you know." That came from my sister. She didn't meet my eyes when she said it. She didn't need to. It felt so staged. I said the only thing I could, "Thanks for the candor," and I meant it, not because I was thankful, but because at last they'd voiced what they'd thought for years. I wasn't truly family. I was the financier, the fallback, the one they could walk over as long as I kept footing the bill. The Italy trip was my brainchild. I wanted something meaningful. We hadn't vacationed together in years, and I thought it could be a new beginning. So I arranged it all, booked the tickets, secured the hotels, planned excursions. Dropped nearly $30,000 from savings I'd scraped together over 2 years. I assumed I'd recoup some later. That was the silent deal. But evidently, they decided to go without me. They judged me as not ambitious enough, that I didn't grasp what it meant to build a future. All of this schemed behind my back, then tossed at me like it was nothing. I paid the tab naturally. No one offered. They never do. I left without a farewell. At home, I didn't yell or rage. I sat, opened my laptop, and began dismantling everything. The flights, the hotels, the rentals, every booking I'd made. The system refunded about 80% of it. So yeah, I lost $6,000 just to avoid being shamed across an ocean. Then I cut off every linked device. My sister, mom, dad, they all had access to my travel app. I locked them out. Then I blocked their emails entirely. I was done by 3 a.m. At 5:17, my brother texted, "We're stuck at the airport. Call the airline." By 6 a.m., I had 5 missed calls from my mom, 2 from my dad, 3 from my sister. One text from my dad read, "What have you done?" At 8:10, the phone rang again. I answered, "You're out of the apartment. I want you gone by next week." Then he hung up. I stood in the quiet, staring at the place I'd called home for 2 years. Technically theirs. I paid $1,000 monthly to live there, below market rate, sure, but they treated me like a kid. They dictated when the AC could run, who could visit, what decor was allowed. Next week? No. I started packing that morning, and for once I wasn't scared. I felt liberated. I didn't respond to his call, not to the text, not to the threats. I just packed, slowly, purposefully. Not out of fear, I wasn't afraid, but because I wanted to savor it. I wanted to recall every shirt I folded, every shelf I cleared, every item I'd once felt grateful to have in their space. They wanted me out by next week. I'd be gone in 2 days. By noon, I'd boxed up half the kitchen and sorted 3 bags of clothes. By 3 p.m., I found an online ad for a furnished 1-bedroom in a calm neighborhood. The landlord had just taken a job abroad and needed a tenant ASAP. I messaged, he called within minutes, and after a quick virtual tour and a payment, the place was mine for 6 months. Just like that. No co-signers. No dad's approval needed, no debates about whether I deserved an extra blanket. The next morning, they showed up. I was taping a box shut when I heard the knock. I knew it was them, I didn't need to check. I opened the door and there they stood. My mom clutching a tin of store-bought cookies like this was a casual visit. My dad behind her, hands stuffed in his pockets, eyes on the floor. I could hear my sister's voice on speaker from my mom's purse. My mom said they'd been reflecting, that perhaps they'd been too quick to judge. My dad said I seemed emotionally unstable, but they were ready to forgive and move forward. If I stopped being unreasonable, it took all my strength not to scoff. You think I'm unreasonable because I stopped bankrolling your European vacation, because I didn't let you degrade me and still cover the cost. My sister's voice piped up from the phone. She said I was being aggressive, that I was destroying years of family over one error, that this was theatrics. That word, theatrics, was the final straw. I told them the truth, all of it. I laid out every moment that had festered for years, not just the Italy trip, everything. The loan I took for Dad's surgery when insurance fell short. The plans I canceled because Mom guilted me about being distant. The times I covered my sister's rent twice because her roommate supposedly flaked. The years I gave and gave without so much as a thank you. You don't get to call it theatrics now. You don't get to act surprised. They stood there pretending to hear me. My mom said I was twisting the past. My dad told me to cool off before I ruined everything. Too late. I told them I was leaving in 2 days. No, they didn't need to worry about rent. No, I didn't need their assistance. No, I wasn't coming to family dinner. No, I didn't want to hear from them, and I closed the door. They didn't return that night, or the next. 2 days later, I moved. The apartment was small, a bit worn, but the windows let in sunlight, and the neighbors didn't know me, and I could breathe. I didn't leave a forwarding address. I didn't owe them that. For the first time in years, I felt like a person again. Whole, not a piggy bank with a heartbeat. Not a contingency plan, just Henry. I thought that was the end. It wasn't. The first week in the new place felt unreal. I'd wake up bracing for a passive-aggressive group chat, a lecture about family loyalty, or a reminder to handle some chore even though I hadn't lived with them in years. But there was nothing, just quiet. It was the kind of quiet I didn't know I craved until I had it. I furnished my space gradually. Got a cheap sofa from an online marketplace, set my desk by the window, bought a used coffee maker because I could. Every choice, every small decision was mine. No one hovering. No one questioning my needs. No one guilting me over priorities. Then 10 days after moving, I got an email. Subject line, please contact us. It's urgent. From my mom, I deleted it without reading. An hour later, another came from my dad. We need to discuss something. It's critical. Please don't ignore us. I muted the conversation. But I couldn't resist checking their social media. My sister's posts had stopped. My brother's gym updates vanished. My mom's social feed hadn't shared a single recipe in days. For her, that was practically a distress signal. Then a third email arrived from my brother's account. Hey, something's happened, please just call. I didn't. I sat with it for hours, wondering if someone was actually hurt. For a moment, that old guilt crept in. That reflex they'd ingrained in me where everything was my burden. Where ignoring them made me a bad son, a bad brother, a cold person. But that feeling passed. By the time I opened the email out of curiosity, it was already old news. The tone was vague, like they were scared to detail the situation in writing. But I sensed enough. Something had gone wrong, something major. 2 days later, I learned what. They didn't tell me. My cousin Derek did. Apparently, the airline never refunded the taxes on the non-refunded portion of the trip. The Rome hotel slapped them with a hidden cancellation fee, and the travel insurance. They never filed the claim because none of them bothered to read the policy I'd purchased. Total out-of-pocket loss, nearly $8,000. Worse, my dad had charged some of it to a card he was already late on. The bank froze his account after a missed payment, and my sister's work tuition program fell apart. Their dream trip that never happened still managed to ruin them financially. Karma's timing is impeccable, and that's when the pleading began. The calls restarted. This time voicemails, my dad stumbling over words about needing to talk. My mom sobbing. My sister saying things had gone too far, that they were all suffering. I listened to every message. Didn't answer a single one. Then on a Tuesday morning, my mom called 5 times in a row, and the last voicemail changed everything. Between tears, she said if I didn't help now, I wasn't their son anymore. I replayed that message twice. Sat staring at the wall as it sank in. You're not our son anymore. It was meant to manipulate me, to break me. But it didn't hurt like they expected. It felt Pitiful, desperate, hollow. I didn't respond. 2 months passed. I found a rhythm again. Grocery trips, work, friends, peace. I was sleeping better. I looked healthier. People noticed. Then one afternoon, something stopped me dead in my tracks. I was heading to lunch when I saw my dad's car, except he wasn't driving it. A week later, my cousin sent a screenshot. They'd sold the car. Seeing my dad's car on an online marketplace hit me hard. Not because I was shocked they sold it. They always valued ego over sense, but how quickly it all unraveled surprised me. Just 2 months after the cancellation, and they were letting go of what had been his prized possession. That car was his identity, his crown, his statement to the world. Now it was some kid's first car, probably reeking of cheap cologne and bad choices. I thought that was the end of their downfall. It wasn't. A week later, as I returned from the store, someone was at my door. Hoodie, sunglasses, backpack. I thought it was a neighbor. Then I recognized him. My brother. I hadn't heard from him since his frantic airport texts. No heads up now either, just showed up like we'd reconcile over coffee. He didn't wait for an invite. Walked past me, sat on my couch's edge and said it. They need help. I leaned against the wall and listened. Apparently things had worsened. Their savings were gone, cards frozen. The bank sent warnings. My mom's work hours were cut. My sister, supposedly the successful one, was under some workplace investigation for misusing a company card. He didn't elaborate and I didn't ask. Then he dropped the bombshell. They're behind on the mortgage, the one they'd always lorded over me. The apartment I paid $1,000 a month to live in while they reminded me how fortunate I was. Now it was at risk, 2 months late. The bank had sent notices. I said nothing. He pulled an envelope from his backpack like it was a big reveal. Inside, printed bank statements, a drafted loan agreement, a formal request for $10,000 to stabilize things. It had bullet points, signatures, interest terms, like we were colleagues, not family. I stared at it, then at him. A contract, after everything. He said they wanted to prove they were serious, that this wasn't another freebie. I didn't laugh. I didn't shout. I got 2 glasses of water from the kitchen. Set one in front of him, sat with mine, and waited. He filled the silence with excuses, said they were overwhelmed, that their words didn't come out as intended, that mom didn't mean it when she said I wasn't their son. I just listened. Then I said calmly, clearly, "No." He blinked, like I'd spoken a foreign tongue. No, I'm not helping, not again." He sat there for a long time, then he said something that stuck. "If you don't help, this could get ugly." I told him it already had, and I walked to the door. He didn't fight, just stood, muttered they'd manage, and left. That night, I got a voicemail from my mom. Her voice trembled. "We didn't mean what we said, about you not being our son. We were upset, scared. You know we didn't mean it." I deleted it, because I didn't care anymore if they meant it or not. It was what they truly felt. I was only family when I was useful. When I wasn't, I was expendable. Then 3 days later, something blindsided me. I got a fraud alert from my credit monitoring service. Someone tried to take a $3,500 payday loan in my name, using my old address. My name. It didn't go through. I'd frozen my credit months ago after moving, just in case. I never thought it'd be them. I requested the application details. Everything matched. Name, birthday, social. It wasn't a stranger. It was someone who already had my info. Someone I'd lived with. They never admitted it, never fessed up, but I knew. And for the first time, I didn't feel like their son. I felt like prey. I didn't confront them. There was no point. If they'd stooped to using my identity for a loan, whatever bond we had wasn't worth saving. I filed a report, tightened my credit lock, added alerts with the bureaus, and moved on, quietly, without fanfare. That's what they never got. Cutting someone off isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just a locked door and silence. For a few weeks, things were calm. The messages stopped. The calls stopped. I almost believed they'd accepted it. Then out of the blue, my cousin Lena sent a screenshot. No caption, just my mom's Facebook post. She tagged half the family, writing, "Some act like family until you need them. Some claim to love you until you're no longer useful. But it's fine, God sees all." Comments piled up. All vague, loaded, "So sorry, Aunt Marie, you don't deserve this. Some forget who raised them. God will sort it out." Then came the direct messages. Aunts, uncles, even my grandma. "Why are they saying this? What happened with your mom? You need to fix this, Henry. Family's all you have." I ignored most of them, but then Uncle Jeff called, not a voicemail, a real call. I answered. He asked point blank what the hell happened. So I told him everything, the Italy trip, the cancellations, the eviction, the manipulation, the loan attempt. Every ugly detail I'd kept quiet out of respect, hoping they'd change. I didn't soften it. He didn't interrupt, just listened. When I was done, he paused, then said, "My God, Henry, they didn't tell us any of that." Later, my cousin Derek messaged again. He'd called my mom after seeing the post. Said she tried to sob through the talk, painting me as unstable, dangerous. But by then, most relatives had heard the truth. They weren't buying it. One by one, her post's comments vanished. The post itself was gone the next day. Then came the final hit. My mom messaged me, not with remorse, not with an apology, just "I hope you're satisfied. You've turned everyone against us." I stared at it. Then typed one line, "You did that yourself." Sent. Blocked. And for the first time in years, I felt no guilt. After blocking her, I expected silence again. I thought that was the end. The final blow, the last weak jab, but I should have known better. Quiet isn't their way. If they couldn't control me, they'd control how others saw me. 3 days later, I woke to a flood of notifications. My mom had posted again, one of those melodramatic text-on-image posts, the kind that screams victim. It said, "He's not well. Please pray for my son. We're devastated but doing our best. Some things are out of our hands." My name wasn't used, but everyone knew. And to make it clear, she commented with an old photo of me at 12, grinning at a family barbecue. I felt ill, then the calls began. Grandma first, then Aunt Teresa, then a cousin I hadn't spoken to in ages. They were worried. They'd heard I was unraveling, that I might be unstable, that I'd lost touch with reality. Some asked if I was on drugs. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was so predictable. Then the real shock came. Cheryl, my mom's old colleague, messaged me. I barely knew her, but she said she'd always thought I was kind. Wanted to give me a heads up. My mom had been crying at work, claiming I was cutting myself off, making threats. That she feared for my safety, for theirs. She'd even hinted to Cheryl about seeking a restraining order against me. That froze me. I hadn't done anything. No calls, no visits. No threats, not a single word since I left. But she was sowing seeds, just enough fear, just enough vagueness. And that's when I realized this wasn't about money anymore. It was about power. They couldn't guilt me back. They couldn't shame me into helping. So now they were trying to isolate me one connection at a time. I was livid, but then something unexpected happened. Uncle Jeff, who I'd confided in, posted his own status that afternoon. Public. My name tagged, bold. It's tough watching people rewrite the past to save face. Proud of my nephew for setting boundaries. Maybe if more of us had done that sooner, things would be different. It spread like wildfire in our family circle. Everyone saw it. Some messaged me to apologize. Some shared their own stories of being manipulated. Turns out I wasn't the only one my parents had pushed around. I was just the first to push back this hard. Then came the final surprise. My dad emailed me. No subject, no greeting, just one sentence. "You've humiliated this family enough. We're done with you." That was it. No regret. No olive branch. Just one last attempt to seize control. And I let them. Because by then they weren't my family anymore. Just people I once knew. The one update. It's been just over a month since my dad's last message. The one where he said I'd humiliated the family and they were cutting me off. I didn't reply and I didn't need to. That was the final cord severed, the last bit of noise. For the first time, I checked my phone without dread. No anxiety when I opened my email. No obligations dragging down my weekends. Just quiet and freedom. Life's not perfect, but it feels authentic. I still live in a small apartment with creaky cabinet doors and a faucet that groans every morning. I still eat too many instant noodles, but I can breathe here. I can leave dishes in the sink. I can stay up late watching movies without someone banging on my door about the lights. A few weeks ago, I bought a used dining table and assembled it myself. Didn't call for help. Didn't seek approval, just did it. Every screw's a bit off, but it holds. That table means more to me than anything I left behind. I got a cat, Olive, she's a terror. Knocks stuff off counters for sport, yowls at nothing at dawn, and trails me like she's making sure I don't mess up again. I think she gets me, works steady. Better even. Without the constant emotional weight, I'm sharper, more focused. I started freelancing on the side, landed a few solid clients. I'm finally building savings no one else can touch. I've heard from some extended family since. Some apologized. Some admitted they'd long suspected something was off with how my parents treated me. One cousin thanked me, said watching me stand up gave her the courage to leave her own toxic situation. My parents. Not a word, I don't miss them, not because I hate them. I'm just done playing the role they cast me in. The dutiful son, the dependable one, the walking ATM, the shield between their chaos and the world. I still think of them sometimes. Late at night, I wonder if they regret anything. If they sit in their now quiet apartment wondering what they could have done differently, probably not. But that's not my problem anymore. Here's what I've learned. When people say family is forever, they're not wrong. But sometimes, the family you're born into isn't the one you're meant to keep. Sometimes you create your own. With the friends who check in, the neighbor who invites you for game night, the cat who curls up on you when you can't sleep. I thought I'd feel hollow without them. Instead, I feel complete. Whole, even. And for the first time in years, I'm not chasing what I lost. I'm building what I never had. So, what are your thoughts on this story? Do you agree with what happened, or do you see it differently? Let us know your opinion in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any of our upcoming stories. See you in the next one.